Welcome to Ratio and Proportion Session 1. Actually, this topic ratio and proportion is based on fractions. So basically, when a fraction is represented in the form of A is to B, it is a ratio. And proportion means equality of ratio. And you will find this topic in many other different topics. So that is why this topic is really very important. Actually, you can relate this topic with your daily life situations also. For example, dealing with money or even while cooking, if you are following certain recipe, then definitely you have to add all your ingredients in a correct proportion. And here you will get a clear idea what is ratio, what is proportion, and the difference between the two. And yes, you have many other different formulas to help you with the topic. In this topic, session 1 will be having an overview about the topic, important formulas, and sample questions. Session 2 will be having sample questions set 1. Session 3 will be having sample questions set 2 as well as data sufficiency questions. Session 4 will be having questions from previous papers, and session 5 will be having a practice test for you, which is really important for you to assess your understanding.
The ratio of two quantities A and B in the same units is the fraction, and we write it as A is to B. So here you have to notice that both the quantities should be in the same unit. That is, if A is in meter, then B should also be in meter. In the ratio A is to B, we call A as the first term or antecedent and B the second term or consequent. Example, the ratio 5:9 represents 5 divided by 9 with antecedent is equal to 5 and consequent is equal to 9. Rule, the multiplication or division of each term of a ratio by the same non-zero number does not affect the ratio. Example, 4:5 is equal to 8:10, which is equal to 12:15. Also, 4:6 is equal to 2:3. Here, when you multiply 4:5 with 2, which is equal to 8:10, so now 4:5 and 8:10 both are same. Again, when you multiply 4:5 with 3, then the value 12:15 is same as 4:5. So this multiplication or division does not affect the ratio. Proportion. The equality of two ratios is called proportion. If A is to B is equal to C is to D, we write A is to B is proportional to C is to D, and we say that A, B, C, D are in proportion. Here A and D are called extremes, while B and C are called mean terms. Product of means is equal to product of extremes. Thus A is to B is proportional to C is to D, and B multiplied by C is equal to A multiplied by D.
Fourth proportional. If A is to B is equal to C is to D, then D is called the fourth proportional to A, B and C. Third proportional. If A is to B is equal to C is to D, then C is called the third proportion to A and B. Mean proportional. Mean proportional between A and B is square root of AB.
We have some very useful and direct formulas in ratios, which are as follows. Compounded ratio. The compounded ratio of the ratios A is to B, C is to D, E is to F is ACE is to BDF. Number 2, duplicate ratio. A is to B is equal to A square is to B square. Number 3, subduplicate ratio. A is to B is equal to square root of A is to square root of B. Number 4, triplicate ratio. A is to B is equal to A cube is to B cube. Number 5, subtriplicate ratio. A is to B is equal to cube root of A is to cube root of B. Number 6, inverse or reciprocal ratio. A is to B is equal to 1 divided by A is to 1 divided by B. Number 7, third proportional of A and B, which is equal to B square divided by A. Number 8, if A is to B is equal to X is to Y and B is to C is equal to M is to N, then A is to C is equal to X into M divided by Y into N, and A is to B is to C is equal to X into M is to Y into M is to Y into N. Number 9. If A is to B is to C is equal to X is to Y is to Z and C is to D is equal to M is to N, then A is to B is to C is to D is equal to M into X is to Y is to Z multiplied by M is to N. Let's understand a question now. The price of a microwave and a fridge is in the ratio 3:2. If the cost of microwave is rupees 6,000 more than the cost of fridge, then what is the cost of fridge? We know the ratio of the price between microwave and fridge, which is 3:2. Now we can assume their actual prices as 3x and 2x. Let the price of microwave be 3x and the price of fridge be 2x. And both the values should always be multiplied with the same variable. So it can't be x and y. So 3x and 2y will be wrong. Now it has mentioned in the question that the cost of microwave is rupees 6,000 more than the cost of the fridge, which can be written as 3x is equal to 2x plus 6,000. With this we can find the value of x. So x is equal to 6,000. We have to calculate the price of fridge, which is 2 into x. So 2x is equal to 2 into 6,000, which is equal to 12,000. So our answer is 12,000.
Thank you for watching session 1. If you have any query, you can write back to me on mathskagurukul.vns@gmail.com.